Can you hear me? Okay. I'm not going to use the podium. I feel that's a little bit impersonal for me, and this is a family and friends event, so I'd rather stand up here. And I did write a script. I rehearsed it with my wife last night. It was 45 minutes, and that was the short version. So, I'm James' younger brother. I've known him my entire life, so there's a lot I got to say. Some of which you might get kicked out of the building if I tell the truth on some stuff, so I'll be careful. Anyhow, I would just like to say, distinguished guests, friends, and certainly a lot of the family that are here today, it's amazing how many people came today for this special event. And I know some people traveled far, from Maine, from Texas, from New Jersey, all over the place, as we're with James as he's about ready to hang up his boots after 26 plus years of faithful and dedicated service to our country. And James, thank you very much for asking me to preside over this ceremony today. It's a great honor and privilege. See, I might need those tissues too. And wow, we're in the middle of the Pentagon. That's amazing. I mean, this is probably the most symbolic symbol of our armed forces. What a great place to get a retirement. So, again, I'm proud to be here with you today, with friends and families, as we celebrate this important milestone in your career and your life. So, and Becky, thank you. The Rock, the foundation to James. You've been supporting James' career the whole entire 26 plus years. And you're about ready to celebrate your own milestone soon, on 16 July. You know what I'm talking about. 25 years of marriage, military marriage. Congratulations. And I know, and you know, and all the military families in here know, that 25 years didn't come without sacrifices, right? Like the time James was conveniently deployed when you were pregnant with Teresa. Missing the entire pregnancy minus the birth. Get one, James. Or how about when James conveniently deployed to Iraq for 15 months, missing Alan's entire kindergarten years, leaving you behind to be the mom and dad and everything in between. Or how about before you guys were even married, when James went off to his first deployment in Saudi Arabia, and he was only authorized one 10-minute phone call once a week. And of course that phone call didn't come at a convenient time. It came at like 2 in the morning. What a way to start planning your future together, right? One 10-minute phone call a week. That's crazy. Or, if you know what Fort Polk's like. How many people been to Fort Polk, Louisiana? All right, amen. I got 2 hands up. I was stationed there too. Fort Polk, Louisiana, in the middle of that great state. It's a good state. I'm not picking on Louisiana. But before cell phones, 2-hour recall, if I could explain, the nearest civilization's at least an hour-and-a-half drive. So you must have got a lot of mosquito bait in shooting the gun. I don't know what you did when he was on 2-hour recall, but I know the sacrifices. So between missed birthdays, holidays, anniversaries, long hours, deployments, moving from this place to that, the sacrifices are many. And as a soldier, I don't take those for granted. I know James does not either. So Becky, thank you. And Teresa. Wow, I can't believe you're going to be a junior at the University of West Virginia. Go Mountaineers. Although I'm an SEC fan, I'll say go Mountaineers. And Alan just graduated from Lake Braddock High School, about ready to embark on your freshman career at Christian Newport University. Join in the ROTC program down there when you get there, right? Cool. I have to recognize your sacrifices and commitment. Because despite those sacrifices I just talked about, your love and support was an instrumental ingredient to your dad's success. So thank you. And I know it's, family members like Becky, Alan, Teresa, that allows soldiers like James, your dad, to do his job day in and day out. And I fully understand that your family sacrifice is just one small part of a larger family history of service and sacrifice. From great-great-grandparents, grandparents, great-uncles and aunts, cousins. Our family has been serving and sacrificing on both sides of the family. Jim's family, Becky's side of the family. We have been serving and sacrificing since World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War, Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, Iraq, Afghanistan, and all operations post 9/11. We are a history of family of selfless service and sacrifice. So thank you. And I want to honor some of those family members who are here today. My dad, Dan Clark, your father-in-law, Alan Gregory, our oldest brother, Mike Clark, and our brother-in-law, Tony Montemurno. Thank you for your service, and thanks, Mom, Kathy, Allison, Ellen, who's not here today. Thank you for your support to your soldier and your families. Thank you. So, now I want to share an interesting tidbit, one that I kind of forgot about growing up, but I think is really interesting and what makes it really special for me to be here today. And I think it's really cool. And a lot of people don't know this, even in our family don't think about it. But a long time ago, our dad, Dan Clark, commissioned our brother, right here, Mike Clark, when he graduated from West Point in 1984. Mike Clark then commissioned our brother, James, right down the road at Fort Belvoir, which is right here. That's him, getting commissioned by Mike Clark. And then, guess what? Guess who commissioned me? My brother James, a few short years later, commissioned me pretty much in the same place at Fort Belvoir. So it is an incredible honor for me to be here, to retire the person who kick-started my career many, many years ago. So, anyhow, I thought that was an interesting, unique fact about our family that I wanted to share. So there are a lot of reasons why people join the military, and I could ask a lot of you in uniform why you joined the military. For me, it was fame and fortune. That hasn't panned out yet. Has not panned out yet. I'm waiting. But I did ask James, said, hey, what inspired you to join the military? And he thought about it, and he sent me a long list. It's about 8 pages. So I got it. But the first thing he said is he always felt there's a sense of something bigger. He was always proud of our dad's service, and he was super proud of my oldest brother, Mike, when he graduated West Point in '84, and then went off to Operation Desert Storm, Desert Shield, commanding Alpha Company, 82nd Engineer Battalion, in support of the 2nd ACR, I think call sign aka Avenger 6, right? Cool. So he was proud of that, and he wanted to do that, and he wanted to be part of that team. He wanted to serve his country. He wanted to be part of the team that was bigger than him. That was the first thing he said. And I summarized it. That was about 3 pages long. And you can thank me. So the second thing was traveling. He always loved traveling. When Mom and Dad, when we moved different places, we would go and see the sights, whether it was traveling up and down the Rhine River, seeing all the various castles, or the first time he ate mussels at Mount Saint Michel in France, or whether it was going to Niagara Falls for the 100th time, showing families, hey, here's water falling, great. He always loved to travel. And then couple that with this sense of adventure. James been fortunate his whole life. He's been actively involved with the Boy Scouts. He loves hiking, camping. He's gone to Philmont, loved all the adventure that came with it. Couple that with the leadership skills you learn as a young Boy Scout. He said it just seemed like a natural progression for him to go into the military. And then lastly, teamsmanship. James always played sports growing up, although I think I question if high school bowling's a sport, but we can debate that later. We can debate that later. He did play varsity soccer his junior and senior year, but you know what stood out is he was talking about a story. He said in his 8th grade year he played on a soccer team that lost every single game. They must have sucked. But that next year, that same soccer team won every single game. And he said that taught him a lot about what it means to be a good teammate. Not just in the good times, but in the bad times. So you take all that, James now has been part of a contributing member and a teammate of one of the world's greatest teams. Now, I'm not talking about the Buffalo Bills. To be clear, I'm talking about the United States Army. And come 1 October, James will have served 26 years, 3 months, and 29 days-ish, but who's counting? Ish. But who's counting? Right? And it is 1 October. I know we're having the ceremony early, but we can do that. It's in the Geneva Convention or something. So, anyhow, through 26 years, you have maximized your years and career. Through the hardship tours like Fort Polk, Fort Bliss, Fort Sill, and many say the Pentagon. I'm sorry, all you working in the Pentagon. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it, that's what I hear. To your great tours in Hawaii and Germany, you, Becky, Alan, Teresa, you maximize the opportunities and you seize the adventure. Kudos on you. You made the best of every place. And let me tell you, your 26 years you've been serving, just exemplifying the Army, whether it's your courage, your commitment, your integrity, and your honor. So let me just spend a little bit of time. We'll be here like 5 hours if I went through his entire career, right? So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to highlight certain aspects of his career that I think exemplify his leadership and his contributions to the United States Army. And it all starts out a long time ago as a young company grade officer, and I'm talking as a second lieutenant, a first lieutenant, and a brand new captain. The Army decided to send him on 3 tactical deployments in 5 short years. And this is back in the days where he deployed to Saudi Arabia in support of Operation Southern Watch. His first deployment as a young platoon leader with a battery out there, oftentimes pulling 24-hour attack site OICs and just leading a force. And the picture I like, I know it'd be hard, but after the ceremony you can look at it. Here's a picture of James. It looks like he's got 2 or 3 SINGARS radios. He's got a brick. He's got everything. I don't know any soldier in the Army who hasn't felt like the whole world was coming on them, but they were in charge and they're going to take care of it. So I love that picture. The second time he went as a battery executive officer or second in command, and there he had to, before the deployment, had to make sure the unit was ready to deploy, and then once there, sustained and trained. And I love this other picture up here, because it could be Fort Bliss, could be Fort Sill, but it's not. It's Saudi Arabia. And there he is. I mean, the significance of that picture is he was telling me, it's like, golly, we deployed to Saudi Arabia to execute our mission, but my boss said we still got to train, and there they are training. They're running weapons proficiency range, keeping those soldier skills alive and kicking while they're forward deployed, providing a crucial mission to the whole joint force. And then your last deployment, you deployed as a battalion S1, where you were responsible for all the admin functions, keeping the battalion trained and sustained. So after he learned, these 3 deployments, leading soldiers forward deployed in real-world operations, the Army was smart and said, we got to keep him continuing leading soldiers. So they gave him a command, Alpha Battery, the Gators. I think 562? 652, oh, sorry. So they gave him a command where, again, he was responsible for maintaining, training soldiers, equipping soldiers, maintaining it, but being mission ready at a moment's notice, providing crucial air defense capabilities to 3 commanders. Commander of U.S. European Command, Commander of U.S. Central Command, and NATO. So by this time, the Army's saying, man, he's got his leadership, he's been leading soldiers, he knows what he's doing. We need help training soldiers. We need help train the force. So they send him off to Fort Knox with a lot of TDY to Fort Campbell, where he trained over thousands of National Guard and reservists as they were getting ready to deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan post 9/11. Then they shipped him off to Fort Jackson, where he was instrumental in helping train thousands of basic recruits, new entry-level soldiers, right? Who then were getting assigned to units who were deploying to Iraq and Afghanistan and globally around the world. So at this point, now you're pinning on major. The askers from the Army are going to get tougher. They're not going to get easier. So the Army says, man, he's led soldiers, he's trained soldiers. Now we need to send him to Hawaii to help stand up the newly formed 94th Army Air and Missile Command out of Hawaii. While doing that, he helped coordinate and integrate their first effort and their first involvement with training exercises, Yamoussoukro and Keen Edge. If you know anything about those exercises, they are critical bilateral annual exercises with Japan, where U.S. and Japanese service members hone their skill to provide critical defense to Japan and deter regional aggression. Then next, going up in the ranks, the Army asks you to deploy again. As if 3 and 5 were three deployments in 5 years were enough, the Army says, oh, okay, we got more out of you. We're going to deploy you again to Iraq this time, twice. First time for 15 months during the surge. While he was in Iraq, he worked for the Multinational Corps Iraq. And if you don't know what that is, that was a 3-star level headquarters that oversaw and directed the combat tactical fight in Iraq. And there, James worked on the jock floor, and he had to report every day battle updating and future operations to the commander, who was then Lieutenant General Odin Arrow, who then became the Chief of Staff of the Army. Comes back from that deployment, and now I believe you're Lieutenant Colonel, or close to it. I believe you're Lieutenant Colonel. The Army says, oh, we're going to send you out as an individual augmentee to do the Iraq Train and Advise mission, ITAM. I don't know who comes up with these acronyms, but that one sounds pretty cool. There he goes into Iraq, and he's instrumental in helping train the security forces, specifically the federal police force. And this is a really cool story. He becomes the officer in charge, or AKA FOB Mayor of FOB Dublin. So I could say my brother was the mayor of Dublin. You can use that one. That's pretty cool. I mean, if you're in Ireland, it probably gives you some free beers and stuff. Yeah, I know the mayor of Dublin. Hey, maybe. Yeah. Multi-million-dollar FOB that was the home of the Federal Iraq Police Academy, where James also was the senior U.S. advisor to a 2-star Iraqi, the commandant there, and helped train thousands of Iraqi policemen and women who there to quell, and make sure the stability and peace were there. And I think he did too good of a job, because at the same time as when we were drawn down and combat forces were leaving Iraq, see, you did too good. Now they're taking care of their country, and they're leaving. And instead of the Army letting James go home, you know what they did? They said, hey, we hand select you. You're going to stay in Iraq. And we got another organization we want you to help stand up. The Office of Security Cooperation Iraq, which was supposed to be the enduring organization to take over in Iraq. In fact, James was in the jock fort in the middle of Baghdad when the last combat troops LD'd across the border into Kuwait. And the president was on TV saying, no more soldiers in Iraq. And Becky's like, the hell there aren't! She's going to the post office saying, I need to send this to my husband. He's in Iraq. And they're saying, oh, sweet Becky. You must be confused. He might be in Bahrain, Qatar, probably in Kuwait. Probably just want to punch him. Bam! And even now, the great team here in the Army G8 Fires Division, James is part of a great team here who's looking about financing over the FIDEP and the POM, trying to resource equipment and future training to all field artillery and air defense artillery organizations in the United States Army. So an impressive career. And that was just a little of it. See, again, I shortened it. I could have made that longer, but the only chink in his armor that I see is his steadfast, crazy loyalty to the Buffalo Bills, which I would tell you, in your 26-year career, really hasn't been a winning team. The Army has, but not the Bills. But we all have a little pool that Amy Fields, you kind of help us out with, and I have profited from his steadfast loyalty to the Bills. So going into this NFL season, I'm go Bills. Maybe I'll win this year, I don't know. But the bottom line, James, I'm very proud of you. I know the entire family is very proud of you. I know all your friends that came here, took time out of their busy schedules, proud of you. The family that's not here is proud of you. You've had an incredible career. You had a positive impact on all those that you served with across 26 years. You've led soldiers. What a great honor. You've led soldiers not only in garrison, but forward deployed in harm's way. You've helped train soldiers. You've equipped soldiers. You've helped soldiers and their families, especially at times of needs. The Army's asked you to help stand up critical organizations while sometimes transitioning old ones. And then most importantly, I wouldn't say most importantly, but you also help build relationships. Whether it's with Japan or Iraq, you help build relationships with our international allies and partners. You have made a difference. You made our Army stronger and better. And so I would say on behalf of the United States Army and all our friends and family who are here today, I'd say thank you for your 26 years of service, and God bless. We're excited to see what's next.